phenomenal. Colin Hoover does no wrong. I love it. Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be filming another book recommendations video, and today I'm going to be recommending you books with the trope second chance romance. I'm a sucker for a good second chance romance. It's just something about like two characters finding each other again after like so many years apart and still like having that love for each other. And yeah, I have a bunch of recs for you guys today, so let's just go ahead and get into it. And the first book is Ruthless by Maya Hughes. This is the third book in a series, and technically I would recommend reading them in order, but it is a standalone. You just get the friendship dynamic a lot better if you do read it in order, but you can read it as a standalone. And this one is about Avery and Emmett, and basically they are high school sweethearts. They were like the it couple at high school. They were like so in love with each other. He was like ready to propose. They thought they were going to spend the rest of their lives together, and then one night at this party something happens and Emmett calls it off, and he's like, absolutely not, like I'm breaking up with you, get out of my life, I don't want to see you ever again. And now they absolutely hate each other, which makes it really awkward for their friendship group because they're all still friends, but if Emmett's there, Avery's not, and vice versa. They will not be around each other. They don't go to events where the other one is going to be. And basically, they're all organizing this trip away for two of the boys' graduation. And so they're all going to stay in this holiday house, and Emmett is going, so Avery is not. But then Emmett says like, I can't, he has to go do something else. And this is like a bunch of years after high school, and so he can't come. And so Avery's friends convince her to go, and she agrees reluctantly, and she gets there. Everything's great, and then guess who shows up? Emmett. And they obviously hate each other. They both want to leave, but both of them are forced to stay, and they need to work out their shit. And yeah, things kind of go from there, and it's about them, you know, sorting everything out that happened because it might not have been what they thought it was, and rekindling that love. And it's so good. It's a hockey romance. He's a hockey player. So good, and the whole series is phenomenal. It has so many amazing tropes. I love it. It's very comparable to the off-campus series, like friendship dynamics, hockey boys, a range of tropes, similar vibes. So if you love off-campus, you'll definitely love this book and this series. And yeah, it's so freaking good and perfect for a second chance romance. The next book that I have is The Words by Ashley Jade. You guys know I love Ashley Jade's writing, and this one is such a good second chance. Excuse me, motorcycle, that's really rude of you. And this one is a phenomenal second chance romance. So this is about Phoenix and Lennon, and basically they meet in high school, and Phoenix is like the it boy. He's the bad boy, but he's super popular. Everyone kind of wants to be him, and everyone wants to be with him. And Lennon is the nerdy, quiet girl who isn't popular, doesn't really talk to anyone, studies hard, and Phoenix is failing one of his classes and Lennon is thriving in that class. So Lennon's teacher organizes Lennon to be his tutor, and she starts tutoring him, going to his house, and like they're spending more time together, and slowly things start to happen and they fall in love and everything's going well. And then one night everything crumbles, how these books go, and you fast forward, I don't even remember how many years later. Phoenix is a thriving musician. He is in this band, he's famous, everything's going so well until one night when tragedy strikes, and he kind of goes off the rails, and his bandmates don't really know what to do, his management doesn't know what to do. And so his best friend, who knew Lennon from high school because they went to the same high school together, organizes for Lennon to come and essentially be his sober coach and keep track of him, make sure he doesn't get into any trouble with the media, making sure that he is staying off the drugs and not sleeping around as much, and just like keeping him in check. And they absolutely hate each other, like hardcore enemies to lovers, despise the other one's existence because of everything that's happened in their past. But obviously that attraction's still there, that chemistry's still there, and they can only fight it for so long. And yeah, so good. Eventually tension breaks, things happen, they sort out all their shit, and a second chance romance blooms, and it's so freaking good. This book is intimidatingly long though. but it doesn't feel like it. It's like 600 plus pages, but it doesn't feel like that at all. Literally when you're reading it, you feel like it's like over in like 300 pages. It doesn't feel super long. So don't be intimidated by the length, because I think you guys will really, really love it. And the next book is Blockshot by Kennedy Ryan, the second book in the Hoops series. We're getting alternate covers really soon. I think she's announcing them tomorrow. I'm so excited. So off topic, but I love the Hoop series. I rave about it all the time. Basketball romances, you guys know I love basketball and I love all of these books. This one is a second chance romance about Banner and Jared, and basically they met each other in college. They were like the best of friends, but Jared always had this attraction to Banner, and Banner is a curvier girl. She kind of thought, why would anyone, you know, like me? And Jared is so attracted to her, like really, really likes her. And so one night he decides that he's gonna admit his feelings because she is moving to New York or something, and he's like, well, it's now or never. And so things happen between them, and then everything kind of goes wrong, and Banner thinks something has happened but hasn't, and she despises his existence. And you fast forward quite a few years later, they're both thriving in the same industry. They're both sports like managers, and they're both thriving in this industry, and they're kind of rivals, and they see each other all the time, but they never really interact for more than like professional business stuff. But Jared kind of has always wanted to explain what happened and is still super, super attracted to Banner. And yeah, but Banner is actually in a relationship, so this book does have cheating in it. Keep that in mind before reading it, because if that's not your thing, then definitely don't read this. But the only reason I could is because it's fictional, and I was just like, they're not real people, we're just gonna put it aside. But it's really good. Jared is like, it's always been you, it always will be you, I don't want anyone but you. And it's so freaking good. I love it. This whole series is phenomenal. You have to read it if you haven't already. It's so good. And this book is really heartbreaking. Like, I don't know why, but I was so emotional while I was reading this. Like the first book, definitely check trigger warnings. It's so emotional, so devastating. The second two books in the series are a lot lighter but still deal with heavier topics, but this one just like really hit me in the feels. I was like not okay. I was bawling my eyes out. I felt so awful for some of the characters in this book because of things that happened, and yeah, but it was so good, and you guys need to read it. The next book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. This is like a marriage in trouble, second chance romance. So freaking good. It follows Olivia and Bennett, and basically Olivia and Bennett have been together for a bunch of years. Their marriage is thriving, and then everything kind of goes downhill, and Olivia decides that she wants a divorce and she doesn't want to be with Bennett anymore. And so they're in the process of getting this divorce, and then Bennett gets in an accident and he's in hospital, and he wakes up and he's lost his memory. He's lost basically the past 2 years of his life, and so he wakes up and he still thinks that him and Olivia are perfectly thriving in their marriage and they're together. And so he's asking for his wife. He's like, where's my wife? Like, someone got me my wife, like get away from me, like it's random people are here. And he's like, I just want my wife. And Olivia walks in and she's like, Bennett, like I'm not your wife anymore, we're like divorced. And Bennett is so confused because he's so in love with her, and he's like, why, like what freaking stupid thing did I do to make you want to divorce me? Like there is no way I would ever hurt you, like you're the love of my life. And yeah, so it's about them, you know, rekindling that love. Olivia's super hesitant because she doesn't want to get hurt again, but Bennett is like so persistent. He's so in love with her and he just wants to fix this marriage, and it's so freaking good. Like he remembers their marriage but forgot their divorce. It's literally so good, and Bennett is everything. Like the love he has for Olivia, I can't even deal. It's so good. Go read it. Phenomenal. The next book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. This is another marriage in trouble book. They're not really married, they're fiancés, they're engaged, and basically they despise each other's existence and they don't want to get married. But for the sake of like basically everyone around them, they don't want to be the one to call off the wedding, they don't want to be the one that has to pay for it, and so they kind of make this unofficial bet to pull pranks on each other and make the other one hate each other even more to try and get them to call off the wedding. And all while this is happening, they kind of find themselves again and find that reason why they fell in love in the first place, and they fall back in love. And it's really good. It's a rom-com. It's freaking hilarious. Naomi is so freaking funny, and Nicholas is so sweet. Like, the little things that he does for her are so freaking wholesome. I'm not gonna lie, it did take me a little while to get into this book, but once you get into it, it's so good. And yeah, I loved it. Perfect second chance romance. And it's a little different to like your typical they're together, they break up, and then they find each other years later. It's more of a finding themselves and finding that love again while not having years apart. And yeah, it's so good. Next book that I have is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I feel like everyone has read this, but it's such a good second chance romance. It's childhood friends to lovers, and it's so good. So Elliot and Macy meet when they are really young. Macy's mum passes away, and her mum has always wanted them to have like this holiday house, and so her dad buys this holiday house that's right next door to Elliot's, and Elliot is actually in this house reading his book. He was looking for a quiet place to read, and so he's in the house just reading his book, and Macy walks in and is like, why is there this random boy sitting in my house? But she's like, yeah, you can stay. And then they start reading together, and it's so freaking wholesome, like hello, and they become the best of friends, and then end up falling in love, and then something happens, and fast forward 11 years later, I think it is, and they haven't seen each other in 11 years, and then they meet and fall back in love. They rekindle that friendship that they had, and they rekindle that love, and it's so freaking good. And you're slowly, like, this book is told in dual timelines, so you're flipping between the past and the present, and in the past chapters you're watching them meet for the first time, fall in love for the first time, and become friends and fall in love, and then in the present chapters you're watching them meet again, rekindle that friendship and rekindle that love, and slowly you're building up to that big thing that happened that made them lose touch in the first place. And it's so good. Elliot is the sweetest, and I'm obsessed. It's so good. The next book that I have to recommend is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover, another marriage and trouble second chance romance. This book is so good. Phenomenal. Colleen Hoover does no wrong. I love it. It's so good. So this follows Quinn and Graham, and this book is also told in dual timelines. So in the past you are watching them meet for the first time, fall in love for the first time, and then in the present chapters it's 7 years later. They've been married for 7 years, and they're struggling with something that's making their marriage fall apart. That love that they've always had for each other is still there, but they're struggling so much in their marriage, and things are just not working. And so it's kind of about them rekindling that love that they always had, and like remembering how in love that they were, and then like finding each other again. And it's so freaking cute and wholesome, and I love it. And it's heartbreaking, and I bawled my eyes out, and in true Colleen Hoover fashion, like, you know, you're gonna cry, but it's so freaking good. I love this book, and like it's so, like, you get like whiplash because it's so like incredibly frustrating, because you know how in love these characters were. Like, you're reading it and you're seeing them so in love for the first time in the past chapters, and then you flip to the present and it's like their marriage is falling apart, but you just want them to remember how in love they were. And it's so good. Go read it right now. Amazing, stunning, phenomenal, beautiful, perfect. Colleen Hoover does no wrong. The next book that I have to recommend is Eleanor and Gray by Brittany C. Cherry. You guys know I love Brittany C. Cherry, and this is about Eleanor and Gray, and they are childhood friends that turn into more, and they were so cute when they were younger. And that's basically the first chunk of the book, is them meeting and becoming friends, and then realizing that they want to be more than friends. And he reads her favorite series, and I almost died. I was like, hello, marry me. And then you fast forward a bunch of years later, it's quite a few, I think it's like 19 years later or something, and Gray has been married, he has 2 kids, and he just lost his wife, and he's looking for a nanny to look after his kids while he's at work. And the nanny just happens to be Eleanor. So it's single dad, childhood friends, love, a second chance, like so many stunning tropes. And yeah, they meet again and they hate each other. He is so mean to her, but it's about them, you know, falling back in love. His kids are so cute. You guys know I'm a sucker for a single dad, and mixed with childhood friends and lovers and second chance romance, like it can do no wrong. This book's heartbreaking, but it's so good. And yeah, they're falling back in love in the present, and so good. Obsessed, stunning, beautiful. Read it right now. And the last book that I have to recommend to you guys today is The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. I feel like everyone has read this book, but I thought I'd mention it anyway because it is a second chance romance. This is about Logan and Grace, and basically they meet one night. Logan accidentally knocks on her door. He's looking for like a party and he ends up knocking on her door and he's like, oh, this is not where I'm meant to be, but kind of invites himself in and goes in, and they end up like hooking up, and he ends up saying some stuff that he probably shouldn't have said, and Grace is like, get out, like go away, like I don't want anything to do with you. Fast forward a year later and Logan has regretted it for like the past year, and he's like, she's the girl for me, like I want her back in my life. So he is trying to get her back, but Grace is like, I don't want to get hurt again, like not gonna happen. So it's not your typical second chance romance, but it is still second chance, and so he has to jump through a lot of hoops to get that second chance, but he does. And this is my favorite couple of the series. Logan is literally everything. He's so hilarious. Grace is so awkward and funny and literally like me in a person. Like she's so socially awkward and she rambles and she blurts out a lot of things about serial killers, and I'm just like, you know what, same. And so I think that's why I love this book the most. Like I just love them so much. They're so freaking cute, and this book is so good. Read it if you haven't already. That is all the books I have to recommend to you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.